Swastiastu. All right. Good evening, and thank you for time and thank you for attention about my video today. And before we start, starting talking about my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Putu Novitayanti. I am a student number 1911171040. Okay, today we are talking about language learning strategy versus learning style, and I conducted by Oxford and Nichols 1989. Okay, the first I will tell you about definition language learning strategy before we start talking about the learning strategy conduct Oxford. Okay, the first definition about language learning strategy refers to behavior, step, or technique that learner use to improve their progress in developing language skill. And the second definition given to language learning strategy is a mental step that learners use to learn a new language and to regulate their effort to do so. And the last definition about language learning strategy refer to talks and behavior that learner engage during the learning, which are intended to help them become better, independent, and confident learner. And from this definition, it can be said that in learning second or foreign language, the language learner use some technique, step, and behavior and talk to improve their own second or foreign language skill and to develop their language ability. And furthermore, by Oxford 1990, see the aims of language learning strategy is being oriented toward the development of communicative competency. And development of communicative competency require realistic interaction among learners using meaningful contextualized language. Therefore, learning strategy help learners participate actively in communication. Such strategy operate in both general and specific way to encourage the development of communicative competence. Such strategy operate in both general and specific way to encourage the development of communicative competence. Okay, next we are talk about the classification of language learning strategy. In their study language learning strategy and categories into direct strategies and indirect strategies, Oxford and Nichols 1980 and Oxford 1990. The definition, the two main categories is discussed today. The first, direct strategies. Oxford 1990 classifies the direct strategy into three groups. The first, memory strategies. Memory strategies is one of direct strategies that directly involve the target language. It is used to store of information. And memory strategy are sometimes called mnemonic. It refers to language strategy for learning word memory, which can be facilitated by means of entering information into long-term memory and bringing back information when needed for some activities. Memory strategy reflects simple principles such as arranging this in order, making association, and referring. Oxford 1990. And the next, cognitive strategies. Just stay in direct strategy. And Cognitive strategy are the mental strategy which are used to make sense of student learning. And this strategy is typically found to be the most popular strategy to language learner. When then 1991 reveals that cognitive strategy are mental steps or operations that learners use to both linguistic and social linguistic content. So, cognitive strategies are more limited, specific learning tasks and involve more direct manipulation of the learning material itself. And last, compensation strategies. Compensation strategies help the learner to overcome knowledge gaps to continue the communication. And compensation strategies are intended to make up for an inadequate repertoire or grammar. And compensation strategies adjusting or approximating the message, coining word using a circumlocution or synonym, or selecting the topic can be used in informal writing as well as speaking. And the second about indirect strategy. Indirect strategy, the same, divided into three groups. The first, metacognitive strategy. Brown, 2000, explained that metacognitive is a term used in information processing theory to indicate an executive function, strategies, and involve planning for learning, thinking about the learning process as it is taking place, monitoring of one's production or comprehension, and evaluating learning after an activity is completed. And metacognitive strategies also help the learner to regulate their learning. And the second, effective strategies. Effective strategies is an indirect learning strategy because it supports and manages language learning without directly involve the target language. It is concerned with the learner emotional requirements such as self-confidence, etc. And it is supported by Oxford 1990. Effective strategies are learning strategies which enable learners to control feeling, motivation, and attitude related to language learning. And the last, social strategies. This is social strategy leads to increased interaction with target language. This strategy is able to help the learner increase their ability to empathize by developing a culture, understanding, and becoming aware of other thoughts and feelings. Moreover, Rubin 1987, as cited by his monograph 2000, say that social strategy are activities learners engage in which afford them opportunity to be exposed to and practice their knowledge. Okay, and for me, in my opinion, in learning style, learning a language using a combination of strategy between social and metacognitive strategy. Why? Because metacognitive strategy is a learning style that language learner can use to learn language more easily because social strategy can help students improve their ability to empathize by developing cultural understanding and become aware of other thoughts and feelings. And social strategy are active carried out by learners that give them the opportunity to be exposed and practice their knowledge. And social effective strategy include asking native speaker to correct their pronunciation or asking a classmate to work together on a particular language problem. Meanwhile, Metacognitive strategy is term used in information processing theory to denote executive function, and a strategy that involves planning learning, thinking about the learning process, monitoring one's production or understanding, and evaluating learning after activity is carried out and complete. And metacognitive strategies also help students to organize their learning. And metacognitive strategies improve organization of learning time, self-monitoring, and self-evaluation. Okay, that's all my explanation about learning strategy and versus learning style. So thank you for your attention. If I missed it, I just apologize. I'm closing with Santi. Santi. Good evening.